Hello, Mogul-lites. You got your boy, Mr. Bojingles here, and I'm going to bring you a Athora profile. It's literally just the PS Creaser. It's going to be a PS Creaser aggro build. So it won't focus so much on the Revi into the overturn. It's going to focus on just PS Creaser into multiple attacks. Alright, so we're going to start off with the main monster, the Buddy. It's Prism Creaser midfielder Athora Erantis. It's a long name, but it's nice. So this guy, pretty much, he says call cost is pay 3 gauge, put the top 3 cards of your deck into a soul, and then he has this card in Prism Creature items on your field cannot be destroyed, and their souls cannot be dropped by your opponent's card effects. Counter: during each player's attack phase, choose a Prism Creature item on their field and drop a soul from this card. If you do, stand the chosen card. And then he has a third effect: when this card is stand by card effect, deal 1 damage to your opponent. He also has move, penetrate, and soul guard. So he's the heart and soul of the deck. You generally going to end up on him once you get done with all your shenanigans. He's the last Athora that you're going to end up on, and he's really strong, really strong. After him, you have your second main, which is the Revi Athora. So Quintessence Crystal Dragon Athora Revi. So this guy is pay 3 gauge and put the top 2 cards of your deck into a soul. Then it says if this card is your center or in the soul of a Prism Dragon, all cards on your field cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects and get power plus 5,000, defense plus 5,000, and you cannot take damage by your opponent's card effect. Now the reason why that effect is so important is PS Creaser is one of the only, well, not the only, it's a couple of Athoras that don't nullify damage, but PS Creaser does not nullify ping damage, so you kind of need Revi to stop yourself from getting burned. Alright, his second effect is Counter Crystal Bright. During each player's attack phase, you may pay 1 life. If you do, call up to 1 size 3 monster with Athora in his card name from your deck on top of the card without paying its call cards and shuffle your deck. You may only use Crystal Bright once per turn. And he also have move, double attack, and soul guard. Now the reason why I emphasize deck is when I first was playing this, I thought it said deck in hand. So drawing the PS Creaser was fine with me because I'm like, alright, I'll just do it from the hand. But it does not say hand. It literally must come from the deck. So originally when I built this, I ran 3 of the Revi and 3 of the PS Creaser, but I realized you have to play 4 and 4 just in case you draw too many of the PS Creasers before you get your Revi combo off, and you want to make sure you at least have 1 left in the deck so you can call into it. Because if not, then you have no way to go into your Buddy without losing your entire soul. Alright, so that's it for the big guys. That's all the Athoras that we play in this deck. It's like I said, it's PS Creaser heavy, so it just focuses on trying to get multiple attacks off PS Creaser. Alright, so after that you have Sheldry. I played 4 Sheldrys just because Sheldry is the only guy that searches out Eternity Rings, and for this particular build of the deck, it searches out all your defensive spells, which you desperately need because Athora pretty much stays on the field and is a wall, so you have to punch through all of Athora's soul. And with that being said, defense cards work well. So this is what we use Sheldry for. Only to drop, Sheldry pretty much says when this card enters the field, you may drop a hand card. If you do, put up to 1 defense from your deck to your hand and shuffle your deck. Now, the only defense in this deck will be Menthrite, which is 2 shields and Eternity Ring. So mainly Sheldry is used to go get Eternity Ring. Next, we have 3 of Prism Creaser Defender. Amaron Recover, I think it says. So pretty much what he does is, at the start of your attack phase, if a monster with Athora in his card name is on the field, and you have a Prism Creaser item equipped for this turn, this card gets triple attack. And then the second effect is, when this card attacks, you may put a card from your drop zone into the soul of another Prism Creaser monster or item on the field, and if you do, gain 1 life and draw a card. He also has Soul Guard, just in case you want to throw cards into his soul. Now, the reason why I run him at 3 is because 4 gets a little bit too cloggy. And you do want to see him, but just not that much. Because you really only want to see him during the battle phase. Now, what makes him so amazing is he's generally really good on turn 2 or 3, where pretty much your PS Creaser done took a little damage and it might have lost some good cards in his soul, like Rebe, or Eternity Ring, or Future Pallet, which I will get to. This way you could tuck good cards back into Athora Soul, or tuck cards back into the weapon, so where you can use the weapon to restand Athora. Also, he gains a life and draw a card, which helps you filter when you're looking for things, like defensive spells. I only run 2 of the Prism Creature Defender Rislin Cross. He's pay a life. When this card enters the field, put up to 1 Prism Creature item from your deck into your hand and shuffle your deck. Second effect, counter, act. During your turn, you may put this card from your field into the soul of original size 3 Prism Creature monster or a Prism Creature item on your field. If you stand that card. Now the reason why I only run 2 of this, because at first I took it out because I'm like, well, if I run 4 items, I should be fine. But then I started having a problem with not seeing the item. So I wound up putting this back in. I only put it in as a 2 of, because if you run 3 items, 2 of this, and 2 of the spell that picks up monsters and items from the drop zone, you should have a pretty good way of seeing your items. And then the whole counter restand thing is actually pretty well too. Alright, I run one Miss Crystal Dragon Rinmoncherio. Alright, the reason why I'm running this is because if it drops into the drop zone, I can put it back into the soul of my item with the Amoro Recover effect, the Defender. I can attack with her and then put it back into the soul of my item. Or if I just have it in hand, I can tuck it into the soul of my item. Now the reason why I really like this is it allows you to have a full field with Athora. So you can also, with this in the soul of the item, you don't have to move your Athora so your item can attack. You can leave Athora in the center and actually have a field where you have a full field of attackers, especially this guy, or even 2 of this guy. And this field would be amazing. But it only works if you have this particular card in the soul, because it allows the item to attack through the center, which gives you a chance to restand the item. Another good reason is this actually gives the item +2 crit, which makes your item attack for 4. And now if you run, I do run a future card Buddyfight. So if I future card Buddyfight, that means my Athora is not only attacking for 4 crit, but now my item is attacking for 4 crit. So that's why I run 1 of it. It's my little tech. I like it. Alright. And then 3 of the items. Like I said, with 2 of the item searcher and 2 of the card that pulls the items from the drop zone, it is pretty easy to find it now. Like at first I had a pretty hard time finding it throughout my matches, and that's the reason why I put in the item searcher, was because I was not finding the item enough. But now I do not have that problem anymore. Generally every game I can find my item. If I don't draw it, I pretty much get the item searcher or the one that pulled it from the drop, and I can pull it from the drop. This item is amazing. So pretty much this is Prism Creature Forward Diamond Spike. So the equip cost is pay 2 life and put the top 3 cards of your deck into a soul. This card and all Prism Creature monsters on your field cannot be returned to hand, and their abilities cannot be nullified, which is a very important thing, because the PS Creature Athora pretty much is invincible when both is on the field along with Future Pallet. But if you don't have the item on the field, his effects can be nullified, which means he can be punched through. So you definitely want to have the item as much as possible. Alright, so his second effect is counter. During each player's attack phase, choose an original size 3 Prism Creature monster on your field, and you may drop a soul from this card. If you do, stand the chosen card. And then the last effect is when this card stand by card effects, draw a card. He also has Penetrating Soul Guard. Now the last effect is really good, because if you're continuing the combo of pulling the soul from Athora, pulling the soul from him, and continue to restand Athora, restand him, that means you're burning 1 and drawing 1 constantly. And the draw ones get you into your defensive card for the next turn. Hopefully you ended that turn, but if you don't, you get into defensive cards. Alright, so that's it for the items and the monsters. On to the spells. First we have Minthright. Now I do kind of want to bring this up to 3, but I'm not so sure. I like the fact that it nullifies the attack and draws your card, which can draw you into more defensive spells if you needed to. So it's a good chance that I will put this up to 3 or 4. But I had took it down because the main reason why I used to use it was because it prevents stuff from being taken from your soul. And with PS Creature already preventing that, I figured I didn't mean Minthright anymore. But I might bounce it back up to at least 3. Then there's Rivals Forever. Pretty much Cash cost, pay 1 life, put up to 2 monsters from your deck into your drop zone and shuffle your deck. Then draw a card. And for this turn, all originally sized 3 monsters on your field get power plus 10,000 and critical plus 1. You may only cast Rival Forever once per turn. Now, the reason why I play this is I usually drop one of the size zeros or maybe even the Rebi, and then use another spell to tuck it into the soul, because Rebi gives off an extra +5/+5. Or the 0, just in case I want to use the pickup spell to pick up the 0. Also, it's a nice little FTK if you get this off with Future Card Buddyfight and your buddy and 4 Eternity Rings. That is exactly 9 damage, and then you can use the item to restand the Athora for the last 10 damage, so it could be an FTK. Because it gives off the 1 extra crit. Mainly, it's just a pusher because it gives you 1 extra draw, so it's a combo extender. Next, we have the almighty Future Card Buddyfight. Now, everybody should know what this card do. It's an amazing card. I'll read the ability just for you. It says you may use this card with all flags. Choose and use one of the following 2. Then put the top 2 cards of your deck into your gauge. Put a buddy from your deck into your hand and shuffle your deck. Or counter. If your life or your opponent's life is 5 or less, put an impact from your deck into your hand and shuffle your deck. And then its last effect, which is a everlasting effect, is at the start of your attack phase. If this card is in your buddy zone for this turn, a buddy on your field gets crit plus 2. That helps with the OTK because if you give it to PS Creature, it makes his crit plus 2, which gives him 4 crit. And then Rivals Forever gives him another crit, makes 5. With 4 Eternity Rings, that's 9. Restand for the ping, that's 10. So that's your FTK. I run 2 Dispersions. Now, I literally just arguing with a friend about whether I should bring this up or not to maybe 3 or even maxing it out at 4 now that I don't play the Impact anymore because, as we know, it just got banned or restricted. So now that I don't play the Impact anymore, I was thinking about running this at 3 or 4, but the gauge cost is so heavy for this, and there's not a lot of gauging in this deck. And you can risk decking out if you draw so much because a lot of the cards charge and draw. So I leave it at 2, and it's great for if you're searching for defensive spells or you just need to extend your combo links for more Eternity Rings or stuff like that. So pretty much what it said is you may only cast this card if you have a Prism Dragon on your center. Class cost, pay 2 gauge, draw 2 cards. Very simple. For more draw power, I play 2 Star Believers. Now you're going to see it's a lot of 2 of them in this deck just because anything that's generally once per turn, I don't like playing it at 3 or 4. Generally 2, maybe I'll splash it at 1. But rule of thumb, you generally don't want 1s. You want 2, so at least you'll get to see it if it go into the gauge. Alright, so pretty much what this says is call cast, cash cost, put a soul from a card on your field into your drop zone. You gain 1 life and draw 2 cards. You may only cast Star Believer once per turn. So pretty much self-explanatory. You steal a soul from either the Athora or the item, or if you're just having a hard time, you can Sheldry into an Eternity Ring, tuck an Eternity Ring into Sheldry, steal Eternity Ring from Sheldry with a Star Believer to draw extra 2 cards to search out Athora if you just happen to draw really bad. But it gives you a free, it gives you 2 draws for just the price of 1 soul, so it's good. Alright, so this is practice is everything. Pretty much cash cost, pay 1 gauge, put up to 2 Prism Dragon monsters with different sizes or Prism Dragon items in total from your drop zone into your hand. You may only cast practice is everything once per turn. So pretty much what it does is you pay a gauge, you can go into your drop and add 1 Prism Dragon monster or 2 Prism Dragon monsters with different sizes or a monster and item, however you want to do it. Usually I use these to get back my Sheldrys or any of the size zeros that I want to attack with, or if I'm just really struggling, I haven't seen a Thora, but I seen one in the drop, I can pay a gauge to pick up a Thora. The heart and soul of the deck, Eternity Ring. So pretty much what Eternity Ring says is put this card into the soul of a Prism Dragon monster on your field, and if you do, put the top card of your deck into the gauge and draw a card. When the Prism Dragon with this card in the soul attacks, destroy a card on your opponent's field and deal 1 damage. So the reason why I say this is the heart and soul of the deck is it's the burn. If you get 4 of these into the soul, that means every attack you do, it burns 4. They're all individual pings, so if somebody said they reduced damage by 1, none of the Eternity Rings will go off. But people should know that because Eternity Rings have been around for a pretty long time. In this deck, you're not running Overthrow, so you have no way to stop ping reduction. There is a spell that came out in the Buddy Again Value 3 set that says neg your opponent by neg all your opponent's monsters by 10,000 defense, and for the rest of the turn your damage can be reduced. I don't play that spell just because if it gets to the point where they actually do have damage reduction in, then PS Creature can just punch through it. The extra burn from Eternity Ring is just an extra help to win the game, but you can literally just fight with your PS Creature Athora. That's pretty much it on Eternity Rings. They are the heart and soul of the deck, though. They can be searched out through Sheldry because they're defense. And once you tuck them in the soul, you get a charging draw. So they're extenders because they not only do they give you gauge, they also give you replace themselves. 2 Iris Lilac. I don't, like I said, once per turn card that you generally only want to run them at 2. I do not like to run them at 3. So this one is a 2. Pretty much what it said is you may only cast this card during your turn, which kind of sucks. It'd be nice if you could cast it during either player's turn. But cast cost is drop a soul from a card on your field, which is either your Thor or your PS Chrism item. Counter. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Put 1 from among them into your hand and put the rest into your gauge. You may only cast Iris Lilac once per turn. Now, I run this as a 2 of, like I said, because I don't like having multiple once per turn cards. But this is a really, really good card. And if you ever decided to run it at 3, I wouldn't be mad at you. It's a really good card. It really helps you extend plays or look for stuff that you really need. Like if you're short of Athora, you could tuck a Eternity Ring into Sheldry, use Iris Lilac to steal a Eternity Ring, check top 3, hopefully you find your Athora or something that will lead you into the Athora. And if you don't, then you literally got 2 extra gauges to keep trying. Alright, I play 4 Iris Defense. Pretty much it says you may only cast this card during an attack on your opponent's turn. Counter, nullify the attack and put the top 2 cards of your deck of your drop zone into the soul of a Prism Dragon monster or item on your field. Now the reason why this is so good is it not only nullifies the attack but gives you 2 more cards to soul guard with. And if a Thor Rebe or future card, future Pallet. With Thor Rebe or future Pallet in your drop zone, you can literally just use these to tuck it back to the soul, and then they both will give your buddy +5/+5. So they're really good. Two Legendary Kickoff. Pretty much cast cost, pay 1 life. Counter, choose and use one of the following 2. You may only cast Legendary Kickoff once per turn. Choosing a card on your field for this turn. When the chosen card attacks, destroys your opponent monster, stand the chosen card. Then second effect, equip the item from your hand or drop zone by paying its equip cost. Now the reason why I run this is mainly because if you can't find your item and it just happened to be in the drop zone, you can use it to equip your item. But let's say you already got your item equipped. During the battle phase, once you run out of soul in your item and you just want to extend your attack, you can pay 1 life, counter, equip the item by paying its call cost, which is paying 2 more life, and putting 3 cards back into the soul, which give you 3 more attacks to do with your Athora. Brilliancy Fire. You may only cast this card if a Prism Dragon is on your field. Put the top card of your deck into your gauge. Draw a card and put this card into the soul of a Prism Dragon on your field. You may only cast Brilliancy Fire once per turn. If this card is in the soul of a Prism Dragon, all monsters on each player's field cannot be returned hand. Now, generally when I used to play, this was mainly used for case closed black organization to stop them from bouncing their cards back to their hand. Now it's just used for a combo extender for the most part because you don't really care about bouncing back to your hand because you can't be bounced due to the item. So you're really just using this for the gauge and draw and to push more soul into Athora, so you will have things to take out of Athora when you want to restand your item. And last but not least, Future Pallet. One of the best cards in the game to me besides Future card Buddyfight. Cast cost is pay 1 gauge, counter. Put this card into the soul of a buddy on your field. If you do, draw a card. If this card is in the soul of a buddy, that card gets power +5, defense +5, and soul guard. And it cannot be destroyed or leave the field or be rested by your opponent's card effects. Now, Athora had the biggest problem with being rested because since it's a big wall deck and it focuses on just 1 monster, resting Athora means your turn was pretty much over. This says it can't be rested. So you can still play the spells. They can still play spells that says you can't restand. But at the very least, you'll get one attack off with Future Pallet because now you can't be rested. On another note is it gives off +5/+5 in their stacks. So with Rebi, he gives off +5/+5 and he stacks. So if you have 4 Ds in the soul and 4 Rebis, that's 40k plus attack, 40k plus defense. It makes it a big wall to get through.
That's your ultimate card.
Alright, so that's the end of my deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be making a Rebi Pacific Athora deck that focuses mainly on Rebi into the overthrow, into the overturn. Which that deck will focus not so much on the like this PS Creature deck that focuses on offensive attacking. That deck will focus on more of a surviving and burning. And it also will play Lost World just because I feel like any of those little decks would thrive off Lost World. The reason why this deck don't play Lost World is because 9 times out of 10 you done won before you ever need to go into Lost World. And you're stronger out of Lost than you would be in Lost. So if you have any questions and concerns, you can always reach out to us, comment on the post. If you have any deck ideas that you want to share with me, please comment. I'm open to all ideas. This is currently still just a rough draft. At some point, it's a good chance I might change this build up and try something new. But for right now, it's a very strong, solid build. It actually got 3rd today in our local tournament. So I actually only lost to Sword. So and actually, it has a good out to Swords. It has a great out to Swords, to be truthfully honest. You just Rebi into the overthrow that gives you +1,000,000, and pretty much Swords has to end their turn after that. So that'll probably be in my side deck. So, but if you have any suggestions for the side deck, let me know because I am currently confused on what I should play on my side deck, and I can use any kind of help. So thank you guys for watching the profile. Stay tuned for more content.